Hello everyone, and welcome to the Medieval Dynasty Play Along With Me beginner tutorial. Play Along With Me tutorials mean that you are playing the game and following along doing the same actions that I'm doing while learning at the same time. And this is part 4 of the tutorial, the beginner tutorial. In this video, we are going to be building the fundamental buildings that are necessary for our village before we start inviting villagers over to stay. In the previous video, we worked on hunting, and we also learned a little bit about collecting resources and interacting with our environment and our controls. So that's the first 3 videos. So if you are unfamiliar with Medieval Dynasty as a game, I would suggest that you go back and check out those previous videos. Alright, so let's continue on from where we left off in the previous video. We are at the tail end, evening of the 3rd day, and we are in Gustovia right now. What we want to do is a little bit of preparation for what we're going to be doing later on, which is building certain buildings. One of them is going to be a farm. So in order to be able to do that and to get all the items we need for a farm, what we have to do is collect enough money for that. And this involves a certain amount of running around, because what we're going to need to do is collect sticks and stones and craft quite a few stone knives. At the beginning stages of the game, stone knives are some of the best items that you can sell. They're one of the most profitable. So I just want you to run around, collect sticks and stones, and you're going to want to craft about between 20, I'm going to guess around 25 stone knives, and that will give you enough money to be able to purchase all the seeds and the fertilizer and all the items we need for our farm. So in order to save time, I'm not going to have you just follow me while doing all these things. I'm going to ask you to pause the video here, and I'm going to ask you to collect a bunch of sticks and stones, running around collecting as many as you can until you start to get encumbered like this. And then once you're encumbered, you're just going to click Q, go to handcrafting. I'm going to move towards the stone knife and then hit R, and you're going to craft a bunch of them. Now, stone knives are lighter than stone and sticks on their own, so after you've crafted these knives, your inventory should be somewhat lighter, and then you can just collect more stones and more sticks and repeat the process. So basically just do that until you have about 25 stone knives created. I know it's a bit of a pain in the ass to find these things, but you can also use your pickaxe as a shortcut. If you find some rocks, just use your pickaxe on them and you can get a bunch of stone. Or you can just do what I'm currently doing and run around and collect as many as you can. Alright, so please pause the video here. Collect your stone and your sticks, build about 25 stone knives, and then unpause the video, and I'll do the same. And we'll meet back up in Gustovia. Okay, I have currently crafted 21 stone knives. I have one that I keep for myself, but I have 21 stone knives ready to go. For me, it's still nighttime, so I am going to craft a campfire so I'm able to sleep until the morning, because the shop owners don't oh, here's some more stone. The shop owners aren't really easily available at night. You can access them, but can you? I'm not sure if I can remember if you can talk to the shop owners at night. Let's see. I think I have a few more stone that I can use. Yeah. Let's take a look-see. I mean, if we can't talk to the shop owners at night, that's not a problem. We'll just wait until the daytime by building a campfire. So as you can see on the compass at the top of the screen, there's a bunch of different sacks, and next to them are icons like jewelry, a sheath of wheat, and so on. The one that we're looking for right now is the icon with the sheath of wheat. That indicates a farmer. And I think he's in this house here. Let's go see if he'll actually sell us things. Next to his name is also that little sack with a sheath of wheat, but it is nighttime, and so he may not be interested in performing trade in the middle of the night, but let's see if we can talk to him. No, see, I didn't think so. This person is not interested in talking to you right now. So, unfortunately, we cannot interact with shopkeepers at nighttime. If it is daytime for you, then head over to Edwin and chat with him. However, it's nighttime for me. So in the meanwhile, I'm just going to do a couple of housekeeping-y kind of things. The first thing I'm going to do is get a drink of water. There we go. I'm also going to head into the water a little bit further because I am dirty and your interactions with people can be affected by how dirty you are. So I'll just head a little bit deeper into the water and then your filth indicator will vanish. Next, I'm going to build a campfire and cook some meat because I'm also somewhat hungry. As you can see by the meter on the left, I seem to have broken my torch, so I'm just going to collect some reeds so I have straw, and I'm going to build a new one. This is with fast crafting. There we go. Now, if you recall in the hunting video, I explained that you can't build within a certain distance from the village. So basically, the easiest way is to just get ready to craft a campfire and then just run away from the village and wait for it to turn green. There we are, and then place it. Right click to get out of the building, light your fire, and then here we're going to craft and cook some meat. I'm going to click R because I want to craft a lot of them. Now I have fast crafting enabled. If you do not, you should pause the video until you're finished crafting your meat and then unpause the video. Now that I'm done, I'm going to go to the inventory, going to the food section, the consumable section, and I'm going to just eat a bunch of this meat until I'm nice and full. Excellent. Now we can also hold down the E key to sleep here and sleep until the next day. Alright, here we are. It is now the 4th day of spring, and today we're going to build a farm. And I'm just going to collect stone because for all these knives that I've been building, I've been using up all my stone, and we're going to need some stone today. So if you see any stone around, feel free to collect it. Alright, so we need our farmy guy, Edwin. And he's over here apparently. So let's go and talk to him. Alright.
welcome.
You click E, show me
Only
your
the best
wares,
products
and
here.
then you can sell and barter and trade and do all that fun stuff. So first, we're going to sell our stone knives that we made, that we crafted, and select them, and then click F to sell, sell all of them, and then click accept. Now you should have over 500 coin, ideally. If you don't, that's alright. You'll just have to go make some more stone knives and sell them again later. Next, what we're going to need for our farm, and we're going to have to purchase from Edwin, is first fertilizer. Always buy your fertilizer first because it's easy to buy too many seeds and then run out of space, and you can't grow anything without fertilizer, so that should be your first step. I'm going to buy 20 fertilizer because I'm just going to make a small farm. It is beginning stages of the game, so let's not go overboard with the size of our farm. 20 squares is more than enough. Next, I have the option to do 4 squares, or 4 sets of 5, or 4 sets of 5 seeds, or 5 sets of 4 seeds, and that's entirely up to you. I'm going to do 5 sets of 4 seeds. So I'm going to buy 4 beetroot seeds. I'm going to buy 4 cabbage seeds. I'm going to buy 4 carrot seeds. And I'm also going to buy 4 flax seeds. Excellent. We should still have a little bit of money left, and that's important because we're going to use that to unlock some recipes later from our hunting lodge. Now, before we leave this menu, I'd just like to go over a little bit about the various items in here. Now, we have vegetables that you can buy. You can also buy the seeds. It's definitely cheaper to grow the vegetables yourself rather than purchase them from the vendors. Animal feed you won't need until you have animals in your village, so you can skip that. The other thing I'd suggest you avoid purchasing for a little while are seedlings. As you can see, the cost of the seedlings is very pricey. So even just one apple tree is 270 coin. They're something that you're going to want to grow later on in the game. Flaxseed sells for quite a lot of money. So it's actually, you can think of it as a cash crop. Even though you can't do much with flaxseed, you can sell it and slowly make coin from it. The other things that you can buy that are different types are grains. Grains are generally useful for creating flour and brewing. So we're not going to buy those right now because we don't really, can't really do any of that. They're also useful for feeding animals, so once you have some animals, grains will become useful. The last thing I guess we should buy is, we need one more seed, right? Yeah, so we should just get some onion seeds. So we're going to get 4 of those as well, and that should be 20. We have beetroot seed, cabbage, carrot, flax, and onion. And that's perfect. You can also choose poppy seed if you would like. All of the things that you can grow are entirely up to you. However, as I mentioned, grains and seedlings are more later on in the game. That's more useful afterwards because there's not much you can do with them at the current time. So my advice to you is to just purchase the 5 seeds that I've suggested: beetroot seed, cabbage seed, carrot seed, flax seed, and onion seed. Those are the best ones to start with in the early game. The other thing you consider when purchasing seeds is the season that they grow in. So for example, if you click on a seed, it'll tell you that it grows in either spring, summer, or autumn. However, 99% of the seeds grow in spring. Some of them grow in 2 seasons. For example, cabbage grows in spring or summer. But almost all of them are spring, include spring. There's only one that I know of that grows, yeah, two, sorry. Hop will grow throughout the year, but only can be harvested, these seedling ones can only be harvested in the spring, but they'll grow throughout the year. And rye can only be planted during autumn. So it's one of the more unique grains, because almost everything else is spring, like wheat, also spring or autumn. So most of the grains can be planted in spring, so you should be prepared to plant most of the seeds and grains, sorry, not just grains, seeds and grains, and your fruit trees and everything, most of that will be in spring. So spring is a pretty busy farming season. All right, so now that we have everything we need for our farm, we can leave Gostovia and head back to our town. Now I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to head back to wherever your house is located, and that's where we're going to start building our farms and setting up our villages. Don't forget on the way to collect sticks, and in particular any stones you happen to come across, because we're going to need them for building houses later, so it's good to have a little collection of them. Do keep an eye on your encumbrance level at the bottom left. Make sure that it doesn't get more than halfway. After that, your speed really takes a hit, and how fast you can move, and it's, you know, kind of annoying to slowly plod along. All right, so pause the video here, and when you unpause, we'll both be back near where we built our house. And we're back at our house that we built right near the waterfall here. And what we're going to do is we're going to head up and build our farm and plant those seeds, use that fertilizer and all that stuff that we need up above the falls. But first, what we're going to do is empty some of our items in our inventory, because as you can see, we're kind of encumbered. So let's see what we can get rid of for now. Let's start at the top. We're going to need the seeds. Let's keep the bow just in case we get attacked. It doesn't weigh that much. Plantains heal you, so again, useful thing to keep. We don't need the chicory. It's not heavy, but we don't need it. We don't need these daisies. We can decorate with them later. We don't need this deer skull. We don't need these feathers for now. We need the fertilizer and the flax. We can put the fur away. I'm going to keep 3 leather. So if you don't have leather, you're going to have to go and get some from hunting. You're going to need at least 3 leather for farming. The other thing we should put away is some of this meat. We don't need all of it. Currently, probably don't need our stone pickaxe, and it does weigh a fair amount. I'm going to put some of these berries away that I happen to come across. Alright, I guess that'll be enough. Oh, and the oat roll. Okay, so we've opened up, emptied somewhat our inventory, and as you can see, our encumbrance is back down again. I'm a little bit dirty, so I'm going to quickly run into the waterfall pool area, and then I'm going to get clean again. Sometimes near the waterfall, behind the waterfall, sometimes on the rocks or behind the water, you can find treasure or items, so definitely check that out. It's not in every game. There's a certain amount of randomization. However, definitely that's one of the areas where you occasionally find stuff. I think I see something on the wall here, for example. Is that an item? Or just something? No, I guess it's not. But there were definitely things here before, so check it out. and see if you can find something. Alright, so let's head up to the area above the waterfall. Oh, here we are. Here's one of them, but there's definitely stuff down here as well, but there's also sometimes items in this area above the waterfall as well. I'm not going to collect it because I want to keep everything that I have in my inventory as similar to what you have as possible, and the containers of these chests and things are somewhat random. From game to game they change, so I'm just going to leave that, but you should collect any chests, any overturned carts, any sacks that you find lying around. Definitely check them out and take whatever they have inside them. I'm sure it's very useful. Alright, so as you can see, the area above the waterfall is pretty empty of trees, so it's easy to build a lot of fields here. And this area is fine to start with, so let's build our first field here. I'm going to build a field by clicking Q on my keyboard to open up this build menu, then buildings, then farming, and you're going to choose field. Now remember, orchards, you can build them, however, you need to purchase those extremely expensive seedlings to plant, and it's just better to leave orchards to a bit later in the game. So let's start with fields. You can place them anywhere that's green, and then you can expand them like this. So we have 20. Oh, I guess we can't put it there because something's blocking. We have 20 fertilizer, remember? So we want a field that's about 20, size is wide. So 3 by 4. 3 by 5, 4 by 5, there we go. And that will give us a field that is 20 squares. So that's the size we're going to make. And as you can see, these little tutorial boxes pop up, but since I'm teaching you, you don't need to read them. Let's just skip it. And these little stakes are also have appeared. And this outlines where we have selected our field to be placed. Now another thing you should know about fields is that you cannot rotate them, and you don't have a lot of control over which direction they face. They always face on a north-south axis, and so just be aware of that. And as you can see, when we hover over the field, it tells us that we need a certain tool to be able to grub up this field, and what we need is a hoe. So we have to go and chop down a tree, because to craft a hoe we need some logs. So let's cut down this maple tree. There we go. Excellent. Now we can head back to our field, go to Q, go to handcrafting, and we're going to go right here to wooden hoe. So just craft one. And the other thing we're going to do while we're here is back to handcrafting, and we're going to use those 3 leather to create a simple bag. Those are the 2 items you need to farm, and now let's equip them. Hit your I key and go to your tools and weapons. Here's the simple bag, so let's hit F to equip it and go to 6. And wooden hoe, click F to equip it, and let's put it on 7. Alright, so the tool we need is the hoe, so let's tap 7 to bring it out. And then what we're going to do is left click to grub up the field. That's the first step. So just move forward every couple of squares and grub up the field. If you find you're having difficulty and it's not doing anything, it might be because you are too close or not close enough. There's a kind of an optimal distance. So just move around a little and try again. And as you can see, once we're grubbing up the field, we're getting rid of all the plants and dirt and whatnot. And once we do our final square, please keep an eye on these little sticks at the corner. As you can see, they vanish. And once they've vanished, your field will now appear on your map. Here it is, right here. And now we have that. So what is it telling us we need next? If you look at the field, it tells you need a bag and you also need fertilizer. Our bag was on 6, so let's equip that. And if you look at the bottom right, you can see in yellow it says fertilizer and 20. Let's say that for whatever reason it doesn't say that for you. You can right click, choose field, and then choose fertilizer. We just bought some from Edwin, so all of you should have your fertilizer ready. Left click to sow. And just like you did before, you have to go from square to square and place the fertilizer. Now this might seem kind of obnoxious and time consuming. However, as you can see, we just unlocked a farming skill. So by doing this ourselves and doing it manually, we increase our farming skill. Eventually you can tell your villagers to perform these tasks, but your villagers performing the task will not increase your farming skill. So you should remember to plow and fertilize and plant seeds yourself from time to time to increase your farming skill. Alright, almost done. Alright, that was our last bit of fertilizer and our field is now all fertilized. And the next step, as you see when you hover over the field, is again you need your hoe. So let's equip that by clicking 7. And now we're plowing. So as you can see, it turns this nice shade of dark brown. And we're just going to plow. It does take a certain amount of stamina to do this, but not very much. So you should be able to click. And there's another building unlocked for us because we're collecting all these points from all this farming that we're doing. Alright, now our field has been entirely plowed. And the last step is to go back to that bag. It's on 6 for us. And we need to sow our seeds. So let's go right click and choose field, and then choose some seeds. So let's go around and find, here's some flax. So let's choose flax and left click to sow. You'll see all these seeds appear. And just continue on. And that's our first 4 flax seeds sown. Excellent. Next, we're going to change seeds again. Right click, choose field, and next is carrot. Left click to sow your seeds. And again, same process, right click, field, cabbage. Left click. And continue on to our next seed, which is beetroot. And we've unlocked the farm shed. Excellent. And our final set of seeds is onion. And there we have it. Our field is completely sown and ready to go. Now pause the video here until you have caught up. You have all your seeds planted and your field is in this state. And once you've got all that done, you can unpause. Excellent. So here we are. We have our farm completed. And it is done in the spring, so all of these lovely veggies will grow and sprout and can be harvested in the summer, which is coming up in the next season. Now the next thing we are going to be doing is we're going to be building some fundamental buildings for our village. Now it's getting darker for me because it's heading towards, well, it might just be rainy. It's hard to tell. But once it gets to the evening, I will definitely have to sleep so that you can see what I'm doing, because it's already kind of dark, because of the rain. But before we head down and build some more of these buildings, let me just show you a little bit about farming and how fields work and how you can access and see what you've got going on. So let's go back into our inventory, and you're going to choose management, which is at the top here, and then you're going to go to fields, and here is the field that we just created together. If you want, you can custom name this field by hitting H. So let's practice and do that now. Let's call this our first field. And then, as you can see, it says field 1 and first field. Eventually, what I generally do is I have one field that's all flax, one field that's all onion, etc., etc. The next information you have on the screen is the different crops that you are growing. And if you're not really comfortable with the icons, you can open details by hitting F. And you can see a little bit more here. You can also see your categories by clicking A and D. You can change the plant type here. You can edit your field. You can do a bunch of stuff. Basically, what change plant type and manage assignment means is that you can tell your villagers that I don't want flax planted here. I only want carrots in this field, for example. So it's a way of basically sorting what your villagers are going to plant for you in which field. So if you want to manage the assignment, you can choose flax, and then you can say, okay, I want flax planted here. Now you can, like I said, make an entire field of only carrots. You can tell your villagers to only plant grain in certain areas. It's very useful to manage the assignments of your fields. Otherwise, your villagers will just plant whatever willy-nilly. And sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you want, not sometimes, but basically this is a management game. So you definitely want to control what your villagers are planting and how much of any particular crop that they're planting. And this is all in this management tab. Right? And so you can just accept and then hit escape to return. So again, you can see at a quick glance, flax, beetroot, onion, cabbage, carrot. You can see what you've planted. You can custom name. You can open details. Then you can decide which plants or which plant types are going to be planted in that field. You can limit the field and say only this plant, only that plant. And the other useful thing to have here is tax. So every time you create a building and every time you create farms or orchards or anything that you build, it costs you a certain amount in tax, and your taxes will go up. So it's also very important to not build too quickly, because at the end of the year, every spring, you're going to have to pay taxes. So just be aware that you should sort of limit your buildings and how much you're growing in order to minimize your tax and not have to pay too much tax. So although farms and fields don't cost anything or don't count as a building per se, they still cost you in terms of tax. So it might seem like a good idea to run around and plant a ton of fields, like collect a ton of stone to craft a ton of stone knives to sell to get tons more seeds and more, and then just, have a ton of stuff in the first year. However, you're definitely not going to want to do ridiculous amounts of things, because you have to keep an eye on your taxes. So yeah, paying taxes is something you gotta do next spring. So just be aware that everything you build does increase the amount of tax you have to pay the next year. For your status, it just sort of indicates whether it has been properly plowed and everything, whether it has a villager assigned to it, and so on and so forth. So you'll see that it says it doesn't have a shed. Basically, we don't have any villagers to take care of this field because we're doing it ourselves, which is fine. While we were farming, we got some skills and opened some new buildings, so let's deal with that while we're here. I'm going to put this into crafting knowledge, but feel free to read the descriptions and choose whichever skill you'd like. Alright, and the next thing I'm going to look at is the technology unlocked. So we unlocked the well a while ago, and the hunting lodge in last video when we were hunting. But what we've done this time is we've unlocked food storage, barn, and farm shed. We also have unlocked our workshop. Now, we can only build, if you remember, going back to management, we can only have currently 5 buildings, and one of them is a house. So we have to be careful not to have too many buildings going on until we can upgrade that. So for now, what we're going to have to do is build another house, because we need a house for our villagers. And then we're going to build a well, and we're also going to build the hunting lodge. So those are the first buildings that we're going to put together. Now, resource storage comes before woodshed, so it might seem like you should build this first. However, when your village is small, it's not really that necessary to have this building yet. Once, things get more complicated, then you should be building that. It's going to be the next set that we're going to build. But for the time being, we only have 5 buildings, so we're going to do 2 houses and 3 other buildings. So let's get on that. All right. So in order to build these other buildings, we're going to need a house, and we're also going to need to decide where we want our village to kind of be located, and how we're going to sort of organize the village. So let's head over here and let's take a look at our map by clicking M. So anytime on the map that you see kind of a shadowy section like here, those are hills, and also here it's a bit harder to see, but this is also shadowy. This means that the ground is very not level, like it's curved or hilled. It's a hill basically, and you can't really build buildings on hills. So you kind of want to look at the map and say, okay, well, this is pretty flat land, so maybe we can build a fair amount or a fair number of buildings in this general area. So what we're going to do is kind of there's two ways you can do it. You can do it very organically by just plopping buildings willy-nilly wherever you want them to go. Or what you can do is you can craft, well, not craft, but like place roads as a kind of a guideline to say, okay, well, I kind of want my village to do this, and I want this to go there. And in that sense, it makes it a bit easier to plan your village if you first put down the roads. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start considering where we want our roads to go, and also kind of where we want the center of the village to be. So I'm going to kind of focus in this general area because there's already two paths that cross here. So it just makes it convenient to kind of build around this neighborhood. And I also like my personal house to be somewhat separated from everybody else's houses because I am like the mayor and stuff, so I should have peace and quiet when I need it. So the village is mainly going to be here and kind of follow along this road heading up to the barn. But again, there's a bit of a hill here, so there's going to be a small section where we're not going to build too much. Also, let's not forget about the animals. Now, we have deer here, so the hunting lodge, it would be good to place in this area. So do consider if there are dangerous animals around and whatnot when you're placing your village and your buildings. Okay, and we also have our rabbit trap, so let's go check our rabbit trap while we're here, which I think is in this direction somewhere. There it is. Let's see if there's a rabbit in our rabbit trap, and there is. Let's collect it and reset the trap. Excellent. Okay, now let's get started on the buildings. So we head down and let's get some water. Let's also, let's also eat some food because we don't want to be disrupted while we are doing all of our building. So to build, you're going to need stone, you're going to need sticks, you're going to need straw. So just make sure you collect a fair amount of those, and you're also going to need logs. So find a kind of a flat area near the road. And here's our road. And our house is right up there. So this area here is fairly flat and open, so it would be a good place to have for like the central area of the town. And first, let's place we can place our well, or we can build another house for our villager. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna build a house. So go to houses, go to simple small house, and basically just find a place to put it where it's green. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to equip our wooden hammer, and we are going to build this house. Now, you already know how to build the house because we did it in another video, so I'm not going to record the entire process of building this house. It's slow and time consuming. So what I need you to do is to complete the house, and first pause this video and then complete the house, and then unpause the video, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to skip ahead until the house is complete. So you're going to be collecting logs, you're going to be collecting sticks and straw, and you're going to need some stone for the foundation maybe. And don't forget that straw is located Here, I can collect a bunch of straw. I think there might be some here too. And definitely there's a bunch near Gustovia. And hopefully there's enough in this area that you won't have to run all the way back to Gustovia to get your straw. All right, so let's pause and I'll see you on the other side with a completed house. Alright, as you can see, I have finished building another house for the villagers that we're going to invite. As I mentioned previously, but it bears repeating, you can only have one male and one female in each house. If you put a male and female that are within 20 years of each other, they will eventually get married and have a child. And in this case, they can have a maximum of one child because there are only 3 beds. Villagers can't have more children than there are beds in the house. And in your building and in your house section, as you can see, there are larger houses that have more beds, so your villagers can have more children. But for now, we're sticking with the simple house, which allows for 2 parents and a single child. And an interesting fact is that you can sleep in any house in your village. You don't have to always go back to your own house to sleep. So you can also sleep with other villagers that are in the same house as you. You can just barge in and sleep over anywhere you like. So it's dark, so I'm going to sleep until morning, but feel free to continue building throughout the nighttime if you prefer to save time. Alright, now you can see better, and we're on the final day of spring. So we've got our house, so we've got 2 more buildings to put up before spring finishes, ideally. The next one is the well. So let's go to buildings, extraction, and well. Again, the well initially at the beginning stages of the game is somewhat important. However, later on, your villagers will get their water from the food storage building. So really, the well becomes kind of not obsolete because the well is what produces the water in the first place. However, its location is not that important, ultimately. Because again, your villagers will eventually access water from the food storage building. So the food storage building's location is far more important. So just find any area that the well turns green. It doesn't really matter. Here we go. And of course you can always move it later if you want to, by destroying it and then moving it. Some buildings can be upgraded, you don't have to destroy them, but generally speaking, when you move a building, you do need to destroy it. But you can upgrade without having to destroy a building, so just keep that in mind. Okay, we've placed it, so we're gonna have to take our hammer out to finish. And we're gonna need some more logs as well. Don't forget, you can cut down all the trees here. Just leave the stumps, because if you leave the stumps, the trees will grow back. So don't worry about deforesting your village and worrying about, oh, I want to keep a tree here or whatever, because just leave the stumps and the trees will grow back in a couple of game years. So it's not a problem. If you're unsure whether you want the tree to remain, or if you don't, it's best to just leave the stump rather than getting rid of it, because you never know. Once the stump is gone, there's no way to return it to its location. Alright, let's put that up there. Excellent. And let's finish the roof. And the last section. Excellent. So our well is complete, and if you look at it, you can get a drink by holding down E. You can also craft eventually water skin with water or a bucket with water. So if you have an empty water skin or an empty bucket, you can bring it here and fill it up with water. You can take water with you while you're traveling, so you don't have to find a river or stream. And the last building that we're going to craft is our hunting lodge. And for that, we're going to need a bunch of sticks and some logs. It's a fairly long building to craft. Now, the hunting lodge is important because it will allow you to unlock stone arrows so that we can start crafting our own arrows. So it doesn't need to be anywhere near the main section of your village, so I suggest that you find kind of a sort of far away place to put your hunting lodge. You also might want to consider placing it somewhere near animals, like here we have deer resource, and that'll be a decent location for it to be placed. So because we want the hunting lodge, like it's not necessary, no one goes there except the hunters, we definitely don't want it to be in the middle of everything because it doesn't need to be there. So basically just go off to some side section of your village and then put it there. It's one of the better things to do with it. So to build a hunting lodge, you're going to go to hunting and you just choose the hunting lodge. And again, you're just gonna look for a location where it turns green. I think I have too many trees here, so I'm just gonna cut down this tree. And stumps, you cannot build on top of stumps, so let me show you how to remove stumps. To remove a stump, you're going to need a shovel, and for that you're going to have to go to handcrafting and create a shovel, but you need logs. So let me just get this tree down, collect its logs, and then I'll be able to build a shovel. Okay, go back to handcrafting with Q and get the shovel. Now remember, if you remove a stump with the shovel, it will never grow back. There will never be any trees, so just be aware of that. Now go to your inventory, tools and weapons, wooden shovel, and equip it with F. And I usually keep my wooden shovel on number 4. There we go. And then you just get that. And it'll give you 1 log every time you remove a stump. Also, sometimes it's difficult to remove the stumps. You have to be quite close to the stump to be able to remove it. So if you're clicking and then the stump is not being removed, it's probably because you're too far. Just get a little bit closer. All right, let's see if we can build that hunting lodge now that we've gotten rid of that tree. I'm a bit encumbered, so it's getting a bit slow to move. All right, building, hunting, there we go. Now it says the terrain is too uneven. Here we go. We found a spot. Excellent. Go back to your hammer, and we are going to finish the hunting lodge. Again, this is a fairly time-consuming building to build, so I'm going to ask you to pause the video, collect all the resources you need, and complete this hunting lodge. Again, if any of your tools break, just go to Q, handcrafting, and make some more. And don't forget, where you can get your straw is over here along the river. All right, so let's pause here, and I'll see you on the other side when our hunting lodge is complete. Okay, I just finished constructing the hunting lodge. As you can see, it is completely built. Now let's go inside and take a look. Hang on, I want this stone. And take a look at what we can do inside the hunting lodge. Now, one of the first things you can do is to dry meat, and you can also dry fish eventually once you have fish. So let's just put the 2 meat that we got from our trapped rabbit on here. So it takes a bit longer to dry meat than to roast meat. However, it does last longer in your inventory. All right, and that's the drying rack there. There's also a chest where you can store items. And the most important thing that we can do right now in the hunting lodge is we can craft some more stone arrows, which we definitely need as we only have about 3. So let's unlock the stone arrow recipe. You can buy it by hitting the R key. We need 50 coin to do so, and we have 156, so that's not a problem. So let's buy that, and let's craft 1, which will give us 10. So by clicking once, we get 10 stone arrows, and now we have 13, which is enough for me as an experienced player for a little while. However, if you are not an experienced player, you might wish to craft at least 30, if not more, because you'll miss a lot, and collecting arrows is difficult. You can do it, but when you're running after an animal trying to catch it, you don't really have time to stop and collect your arrows. The other thing that we can unlock while we're here is our bow. However, we don't need to do that right now, even though we have the money for it, because our bow is currently in very good condition. If you go into the inventory, you can see that our bow is still 95%. So we don't really need to unlock the bow at the current time. However, if you wish to, you are more than welcome to do so. Now, once you have a villager in the hunting lodge, you will need to provide these villagers with stone knives or copper knives, bronze knives, iron knives, any kind of knife. That's how they do their job. You don't need to provide them with any other weapon than the knives. And initially, you're going to be putting them in the chest here, in a bunch of stone knives, so that they can do their job of hunting. However, eventually you can put them in the resource storage building that they can access. And so that's the hunting lodge. And the tasks that the villagers can do in the hunting lodge I will address in the next video, because in the next video we're going to be inviting villagers into our village. So for now, we're just going to finish our little tasks, a couple more things before spring is over. First, I'm just going to eat a little bit because I'm hungry again. And there we go. So the last thing that I recommend you do while it's still spring is to collect some berries. Now, these are unripe berries, so definitely don't eat them. However, the reason why we're collecting berries is that if you have berries in your inventory and the season changes, for example, spring becomes summer, summer becomes fall, fall becomes winter, etc., the berries will rot. Now, why is this a good thing, you might ask? Well, because rot is one of the things that we can use to make fertilizer. That way we don't have to buy fertilizer. And berries are super fast to collect, as you can see. You just wander around the bush, hold down the E key, and you'll scoop up a ton of berries very quickly. This one bush, once I'm done, I'll show you. I think, have I gotten all of them? Almost. I'll just collect the outlying ones here. So this one bush of berries has netted me 178 unripe berries, as that's going to rot for 178 pieces of rot, which means I can craft, I believe it's 10 rot for every bag of fertilizer or something like that. So I can craft almost 17 bags of fertilizer with just these berries that I've collected in a few seconds. So yeah, berries are very useful. Again, you can wait till summer and eat them. However, there's berry bushes everywhere, right? So it's not a problem to collect some of these unripe ones. You'll still have plenty that you can eat in the summer or collect in the summer if you want to. So just collect enough to make sure that you have enough for 20 bags of fertilizer, so over 200 berries, and you're good to go. And you can store that in chests in your house until summer passes. So now if we took a look at our management screen, we have 4 of 5 buildings currently built. We have our hunting lodge, we have our well, and we have 2 houses. So we have 1 more building that we are able to build, and in preparation for our villagers coming. Also, all that cutting down of things and collecting of resources, this probably unlocked some skills, so let's just do that quickly before we move on. Yep, here we have 1 extraction skill point, and you can read all of these. I'm just going to put it again into extraction knowledge, and we have another survival point. Now we're full up on survival, so I'm going to choose strong as an oak, but feel free to read through all of these and choose one that appeals to you. This gives you extra health, so that's the one I'm going to pick. Also, all that chopping, and we have unlocked our woodshed, which is excellent. So we have the workshop and the woodshed that we're going to need to build, and also our 2 resource buildings. So right now we have the well, but it is not efficient without buckets, and buckets can only be built at the workshop. So the next building that you're going to want to put together before spring ends, so that your 5 buildings are there and ready to go, is the workshop building. And that will be the last thing we do in this video. So let's make some space for the workshop building and find a place to put it. I'm going to get rid of these trees here. I'm not sure if this ground is too uneven, but for now we're just going to get rid of these trees and the stump as well, because I need space to put the building down if it's not too uneven. But I'm crazy encumbered now, so I'm going to drop those logs. Let's go to inventory. Right, because I have all those berries in my inventory, so what I'm going to do is quickly drop the berries off in this house that I've built here. And once I get those berries out of my inventory, I'll have a little bit more ability to carry things. So let's get rid of these berries here. I can pick them up later. Okay, so workshop is, again, it's up to you wherever you place these buildings. You do not have to place your buildings where I place mine. Definitely, it's completely free where you want to place it. And enjoy the organic feel of the village by not placing them too, in perfect line and stuff. So the workshop is under production, and it's not that large a building, so let's just place it near the well because it makes items for the well for the most part. Oh, we need a lot more stone. And again, I'm going to ask you to pause here, complete the workshop, and then we're going to unpause, and that'll be the end of this video. Hello everyone, I have completed the workshop and I hope you have as well. If you haven't, that's not a problem. You can just continue and do work and catch up at nighttime. I avoid playing too much at nighttime because it's hard for everyone to see what I'm doing. So nighttime is the time that you guys can catch up with me and all the buildings that I've made and everything. So now we have our 5th building placed, and we have a home, and everything is ready for the villagers that we're going to go and invite to come live with us in the next video. So that's it for video 4. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the basic buildings that you need to begin your village, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!